Like, this episode about mindset and why my mindset matters wouldn't exist if there was like no way that you could actually undo these beliefs. That'd be crazy. I don't know why I would be talking about it, but you can. Surprise. This is what we're talking about today. We're talking about the fact that you can undo these beliefs, that you can rewire your brain, and that you can change your mindset to be something that serves you better. Yay! I don't know. All right, my Neechies, welcome back to another day, another episode of the Neechie Podcast. Y'all are lucky that I'm not in the music career. I'm so sorry that this is the way we're starting. Welcome back to the Neechie Podcast. It is your host, the deadliest, the baddest, the bannickest, Brittany. Yep. I am so sorry. I don't know why that's why I landed. That's where I landed in terms of like my opening and my introduction, and I have no idea why. It's not actually. Anyways, yeah, my name's Brittany, but also you know me as the Cree Nomad, so I'm your host for today. I mean, I guess I'm your host for like every day, but specifically for today. Yeah, welcome back to another episode. I am so excited that you're here. Sorry, I feel like I like overstimulated myself before like starting, so I feel a little. And you know what song I was trying to like? I was hyping myself up with too, which is so crazy. Crazy Frog by Axel F. Yeah. So when that frog goes ding 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 that meant something to me. Yeah, but I fear between the lights and the figuring this stuff out and everything, I might have made myself a little overstimulated. So we're going to start off this episode by breathing. And I'm so sorry. This is so gross. It probably sounds so gross in your ears. So viewer, if you're listening only, this is horrendous. But if you're watching, it's also horrendous. But okay, ready? In. That was so short. Out. That was such a short breath. Okay. Let's focus. Let's lock in, everyone. Just okay, everyone, quiet. And another one in. Yeah. My God, who came up with breathing? Because they ate. Low-key, creator, they ate a little bit when they came up with breathing. Don't you just feel better? I feel better now. And you can probably hear it in my voice that I sound a bit better as well. Anyways, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so sorry that is kind of like how we started, but breathing is so good. We should do it more often. Actually, I read recently, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently you were breathing more. I don't know how you would actually measure that, or like how you know how much your great grandfather breathed and how you know that you somehow breathe more. But apparently people are breathing more. Anyone know what that means? I don't. But apparently, I think it has to do with something like we're so fast paced, and because of like this capitalist society that we've kind of built and are now imprisoned in. Mind you, not we didn't build it. Nietzsche's, we didn't build this. We were fine being at a river, chilling with the bros, and hunting and gathering. That was literally it. That was what we did. That was our specialty. It wasn't us that created this world, but now we have to exist in it. We have to live in it. So anyways, because of this capitalistic hustle, like you have to work 40 hours a week to barely survive kind of world we've built, we kind of like do things too fast. We're always on the go. I'm always on the go. And I notice that too, even though I'm self-employed, right? I'm always on the go. I'm always running, and my mind is always going so fast that it like became like so important for me to have a bedtime. I am a sleepy gal. I love to sleep. And it became so important for me to like be really just like 9 p.m. I'm done. 9 p.m. no matter where I am, I could be running a marathon. I don't know why I would run a marathon. Should I run a marathon? That'd be kind of fun, right? I don't know. Side note, even if I'm like going out with friends, I'm at a movie theater. 9 p.m. hits, I gotta go. I gotta come home. I gotta put on my lavender melatonin oil. I gotta drink my sleepy time tea. I gotta curl up in bed. I leave my electronics out here in the living room. And I go to my bed and I am either listening to an audiobook while I'm gua shawing my cheek, because my jaw, like I clench my jaw. I'm either gua shawing my cheeks. Well, that sounded weird. I'm either gua shawing my upper cheeks, not my lower cheeks, and listening to like Pride and Prejudice or Sherlock Holmes, or the way I just paused so long, or I am reading a little book and falling asleep. And I cherish that time because I need it, because I am going so much. I do so much in a given day. Like I switch so many hats. Imagine my head is piled high with hats and I am just flipping through them every single like hour. I switch a hat, you know? And you know what? I'm not complaining. I love my jobs. I love everything I do for work. I love everything I do for work. I really do. And I truly do. And I'm so blessed that I get paid well to do the things that I love to do. However, sometimes because I'm living in this capitalist mind like society, where money is equated with success. And also I need money to live somehow. For some reason, I need money to buy food. I need money to have a roof over my head and to have a comfortable home, you know? So sometimes I prioritize getting that bread money flow over like my health. And that's not good. So I've took it upon myself to really have like a nailed down bedtime. And I live by that bedtime. I live and I breathe by that bedtime. And I look forward to it too. Whenever I travel, honestly, the thing that keeps me going during like work trips and conferences, because I like can work in some very colonial spaces because I work in international climate action. The thing that keeps me going isn't like, oh, this is going to be so good for like the next generation, or oh, this is going to be so like my nieces and nephews have, you know, nature and an environment to grow up in and to continue practicing our cultural practices. And that's not my driving factor. My driving factor is that eventually at the end of the day, I get to go home and I get to rub my feet together like a little cricket in my bed. That is what I'm working towards. That is what I work for. You know, people are like, honey, I'm home. Like they have a family. They have like loved ones to come back home to. I have my bed. I have my bed. I have my cup of tea and I have my books. Okay. And it is a beautiful life that I built for myself. So what are we talking about? Oh yeah. So we're breathing more because we are going so fast, and we've kind of put ourselves into a permanent state of just being on the go, on the run, which isn't good for anyone. Right. And I'm really honestly on top of my bed that I'm working toward. It is also like I am working towards getting back to where we were as a people, where, you know, we were just gathering, hunting, living with the land, not extracting from her, just living with the land, and your gifts were used in your community and you only did what you wanted to do, if that made sense. When I work in environment, that's also what I'm working towards. But how are you? Let's stop talking about me for a second. How are you? Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to another episode. That was a little ranty rant that I went on, I think, just to get like some feelings out. I was like really overstimulated when we started. So now I'm glad I'm back. And the fact that we're 10 minutes in and I haven't even spoken about what I meant to speak about, let's get back into it. Hi, today we're talking about mindset and why mindset matters. And I like created this massive like document, and baby, this is 9 pages long. This thing, 9 pages long. I can talk about mindset all day. Mind you, okay, I say 9 pages. to make myself sound impressive. The font is like at like 26. It takes up most of the page. So really there's not a lot here, but I'm really excited about today's episode because I think mindset is so important. And spoiler alert, the podcast is called the Neechie Mindset Podcast. So what are we as Neechies going to be discussing? Mindset and why mindset matters. If I could drop this mic, I would drop it. All right, let's begin. I was gonna do a little self-introduction with like some fun updates in my life. However, I just went on this massive rant, so let's put a pin in that. Let's talk about mindset. What is mindset? All right. Well, the Google definition. Yes, I'm starting like an essay. I'm only quoting Google once. Don't worry. I'm gonna actually be talking to y'all. Don't worry. Cool it. Pump the brakes. This isn't school. We're just having a conversation. You. Maybe I won't point at you. You and your favorite auntie. Your favorite bannock shaker. All right. Mindset by Google is defined as the established attitudes held by someone. Well, I definitely typed that out wrong. The actual definition, the established attitudes held by someone. Okay, that's cool. What does that mean? So it's just talking about these established, and this kind of goes into my definition. Let's go into my definition first, and then we'll talk about it more. My definition of mindset is the beliefs through which we see ourselves, others, and the world. Basically, what that is talking about is that your mindset is just the core beliefs that color the lens through which you see the world. So mindset really determines the way you look at the world. So if you have a mindset that is kind of based on the world is terrible, everything only ever happens to you, nothing is your fault, everything bad happens to you, then that will frame the way you see everything that happens. When you stub your toe, suddenly it's because everything bad happens to you. It only happens to you. It's not your fault. That life is just out to get you, and that life has hard punches. And so from something as simple as stubbing your toe to something bigger like getting a parking ticket or breaking up with someone, suddenly these things are framed to be much worse than what they are, if that makes sense. Mindset is a way we view and we react to the world and to things that happen. Mindset determines how you react to life, but it also determines how you behave in life as well. For example, if you have the mindset that you're not good enough and you don't believe in yourself, well, how is that going to shape your life? You're going to see opportunities as not being reachable. You're going to see when good things has happened as just luck. And when things are like handed to you, opportunities are handed to you, doors are opened for you, you're never going to step through them because you don't believe that you're good enough for that thing, or you don't believe in yourself enough to even take the first step towards that thing that you might want. And so a pattern will emerge where you don't take opportunities, where you kind of stay in your comfort zone, or you stay in the circumstances in which you are right now because you don't believe that you're good enough to want anything more or to have anything more than what you have right now. And so then that just leads you into a cycle where, if you don't believe in yourself, then you can't do anything different because you believe that you're going to fail at trying something different. And so your life will always remain the same if you keep not believing in yourself. Every step that we take out in the world is a step of faith, and it requires faith that we know how to take that step, right? But if you go around and you don't believe in yourself, then you're going to be stuck in your apartment. Okay. Does that kind of make sense? So mindset matters because it really shapes how we interact with the world and also how we interact with ourselves and how we look at ourselves. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then you must not think highly of yourself. You must not think highly of your intelligence, of your ability, of your resourcefulness, You must not think highly of yourself if you don't believe in yourself. So mindset controls your actions, and that ultimately controls your life. For example, I had a friend in middle school and I was kind of like helping her with like her science project. And every single time like we would run into a little issue or something like that, which is again part of the process and it doesn't mean anything about us or even the project itself. It's just, it's what happens. You sometimes run into some speed bumps along the way. But every time she just took it to heart because she truly believed that she was not smart. And she said it verbally too. She like would say like, oh, I'm like so stupid, or, oh, I can't do this because I'm not smart enough, or, you know, like I'm not intelligent and everything. So it seemed that everything that happened was somehow her fault, even if it was like, oh, we forgot to get poster paper today, you know? And then she would be like, oh, I'm so stupid, I forgot. Or like, oh, like, you know, I just don't know how to prioritize things or something like that. And it suddenly became her fault. And I could see it like kind of like dim her a little bit. And then she didn't want to keep trying. She didn't want to keep going forward, or she didn't want to find a new way through. And it's because she truly believed that she wasn't intelligent. And so when you think about things like this, you're going to see everything that happens, which are just normal parts of life, as like proving your limiting self-belief. So because she thought she was unintelligent, she believed that everything that went wrong was because of her unintelligence. Unintelligence? Is that a word? I don't know. I'd be making up words sometimes. I'm a writer, okay? I'm allowed to. Shakespeare made up words. I can make up words, okay? But because of that unintelligence, she truly believed that everything that was happening was because of that. And so then that just further proved to her in her mind that she was unintelligent, which just solidified that belief, right? And imagine being in school where we value kids based on their marks in standardized Western education. And she goes through school believing that she's not smart, right? That's a terrible way to live, you know, because you're forced to go to school. You have to. So that's just an example of mindset and like how it really does shape the way you experience life. And our brain is so funny too. Like a lot of people think your brain is like against you. It isn't. Your brain is just a funny information processing machine. It also isn't you. Your brain isn't you. Your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts are just your brain processing information because it loves information. It loves to gobble it up. It loves to, you know, and then it like spits out something. And sometimes we believe what those thoughts are saying. For example, like when I say like, don't think about a pink elephant. Wait, is it pink? Is it pink? Or is it white? Or is it just an elephant? Anyways, when I say don't think about a pink elephant, what are you going to do? You're going to think about a pink elephant. When you think about a red car, what do you see a lot when you're walking around now? Red cars. It's not a sign. It's not the universe giving you a sign. Let me tell you that right now. It is not a sign. It is just you recognizing pattern because your brain, your funny little brain, loves pattern. Okay? When we frame this with mindset, suddenly when you think that you're unintelligent or you don't believe in yourself, suddenly your brain is going to pick out all these little instances throughout the day that further prove and solidify that belief, you know? And then that belief will dictate your actions. So if you think you're unintelligent, you're not going to pursue opportunities. You're not going to want to go to school anymore. You're not going to believe that you have any intellectual value in this world because again, we built this weird society where you have to be smart or you have to be school smart to succeed. There are different types of intelligence. Like I'm really good. I'm book smart, right? I'm book smart. I'm smart in like academic settings. Am I smart when it comes to emotions and feelings? Absolutely not. Okay. I had to do many years of therapy to understand the feelings I was feeling and to even be able to name the feelings I was feeling. Okay. So when it comes to emotions and people's emotions and stuff like that, I'm not the smartest. I am not. and I know that. And I know that. And I'm not saying that in a deprecating way. I'm saying that in a way that like I'm honoring the fact that I'm still intelligent. I am intelligent, but sometimes I struggle with different things, you know? You are intelligent, but sometimes you just struggle with different things, okay? So The thing about mindset is it's a large part of it is formed actually very early in your life, which is unfortunate because we have no control over like the first 6-7 years of our life. Really, we don't. Actually, for the first like, honestly, probably 18 years of your life, as long as you have like an authoritative figure in your life telling you what to do, you know, like you don't have that freedom or that control or perceived control. But yeah, your core beliefs are formed about you and the world around you when you're a kid. And there's a couple different places where these beliefs come from. And so one of them would be things that you're told. So things that you might hear kind of willy-nilly, or just things that are literally directly told to you. For example, I truly thought that this is crazy. Maybe I'll get into this later. But as a child, I thought the reason my parents broke up was because of me. And that's crazy. That's crazy, actually, to put on myself. Like, it's something that I was told by siblings, but I think they were telling me in like a, oh, like you're adopted kind of way. You know how kids do that? But it was kind of like they like said something about it, that they're like, oh yeah, mom and dad used to be together. And I was like, what? Because like never in my life, since the day I was born, have my parents ever been together in any way, shape, or form, right? And I was like, what? They were together? They didn't just like come together to have children? You know, I didn't understand relationships, obviously, but yeah. And so I was told this, and then I believed it. And then now that I believed it, it shaped the way I looked at my parents' relationship. So every time they fought, every time my dad would kind of stop by for a visit and not really interact with my mom, or every time my mom would say something about my dad, or my dad would say something about my mom, it was my fault. It was my fault because something I did before I was born made them break up. And that is a guilt that I carried with me for so long. And that is something that shaped how I looked at relationships. And that is something that shaped how I looked at myself. And that I thought that intrinsically something was wrong with me because as a little thing that wasn't even grown, I somehow like messed up my parents' marriage, right? And so that core belief is something that took years to kind of undo. And now I understand that my mom and my dad are adults, and there was nothing I could have did wrong or good that would have made them stay together or would have made them separate, you know? They're adults. They chose to separate. It has nothing to do with me. Okay. And even if they perceive it themselves that it has something to do with me, it really doesn't. Okay. They're themselves. It's a reflection of them. It's not a reflection of me. And so for a lot of kids, like, these are how these crazy self-beliefs are created, is through like these different experiences, right? So it could be things that you're told. It could be things that you see. And it could also be things that you experience that you kind of internalize. However, of course, like this episode about mindset and why my mindset matters wouldn't exist if there was like no way that you could actually undo these beliefs. That would be crazy. I don't know why I would be talking about it, but you can. Surprise. This is what we're talking about today. We're talking about the fact that you can undo these beliefs, that you can rewire your brain a little bit, and that you can change your mindset to be something that serves you better. Yay! I don't know. I am so happy that that's a thing, because honestly, Brittany from like 10 years ago would not be making a podcast, because I had just had so many like limiting self-beliefs about myself in the world that I wouldn't think that this was possible, you know? But I'm so glad that, you know, like we are in control of our minds, even just a little bit. We are in control of our minds, and we can rewire the way we see things and the way we experience life to be better, to be funner, to be like nicer, you know? And that's not saying like your ignorance is bliss. No, you see the world as it is, and you see life as it is, as just life. You know, it's not good, it's not bad. We only interpret things as good or bad, you know, and that is based on our mindset and our belief system. And so it's so great that we can grow as human beings. Like, think about that. Like the 8 decades or so, like of our time here on Earth, if that was spent living the exact same day over and over again because you cannot grow, because you cannot change. Like, how boring would that be? How not life would that be? You know, life is all about changing. Change is the only thing set in life. Change is the only constant. And we see the earth change. We see the seasons change, you know? And we don't mourn the leaves every time they fall off the tree. We don't think it's wrong when the world wakes up again in the spring. We don't think the snow is wrong either. I mean, like, sometimes we don't like the snow because it gets very cold here, okay? It gets very cold. But, you know, we never think that what nature is doing in the cycle of its rebirth, and it's changing and it's forever changing, never do we think that it's wrong. Never do we think like, oh, why couldn't nature just stay like this? Or, oh, why couldn't that animal just do this? You know, and stuff like that. We just accept that it changes. You know, so why can't we do that for ourselves? And side note, I'm not talking about climate change because climate change is not natural. Okay, cool. Perfect. But nature in its usual cycles has cycles. It changes, you know, and it's cyclical, but sometimes things just change permanently, you know, like when the tectonic plates shift, mountains are created, right? And those mountains are not going anywhere for a very long time. Okay. But we would never think the earth as not being a beautiful creator, you know, a beautiful artist, honestly, if not for these changes. And every time a change is made, we don't judge the earth. So why do we judge ourselves when we change? You know, why do we judge others when they change? It's beautiful. Life is beautiful, and we get to change, and we get to learn, and we get to grow, and we make mistakes, and that's okay. That's so okay, because we're growing and we're learning, and that means we're alive. You know, that means we're living life, that we are blessed to be here, that we are living life. Wow, I'm like getting emotional thinking about this. It's a beautiful thing, okay? So don't be so hard on yourself, you know? You don't have to accept everything that everyone tells you about yourself. You don't have to accept everything that's happened to you. Obviously, accepting is a part of letting go, but you don't have to forever be defined by whatever happened to you or whatever someone told you, you know? And that's what we're going to learn in this episode. Notice how I kind of looped back around. Look at me. Was I good? Wait, did I eat? Okay. Let's dive into my experience with mindset. All right. What are some childhood experiences that shaped my belief system? Okay. Or I guess my mindset. We're talking about mindset. I should frame it as mindset. I was bullied. The way that I'm like starting immediately with like, oh yeah, I was bullied after having this beautiful like talk about change in life and everything. Okay, I was bullied. I was bullied my entire life, and I kid you not, like my entire life. I've been bullied as long as I've had to interact with people. Okay. And that's for a lot of different reasons. Namely, I am different. My brain works different than people. You know, I'm neurodivergent. I am on the spectrum, and I have OCD. So lovely, amazing. I have this powerful combo just waiting for me to be excluded from society. Like it's But yeah. So I was bullied pretty much ever since I started school. And yeah, so I was bullied for probably everything. Honestly, I was bullied for my looks. I was bullied for my thoughts and what I said. I was bullied for my behavior. Yeah, I was bullied by random kids. I was bullied by classmates. I was bullied by friends. I'm using the quote friends. And I was also bullied by my siblings, believe it or not. Yeah, so everywhere I turned, I was bullied. Terrible way to live, honestly, to grow up. So because of that, surprisingly, it kind of messed with my identity. Whoa, shocker. Yeah, so I believe that because I was bullied by literally everyone, that I was somehow like less than everyone else. Like I was like, oh, like I'm being bullied and it's only happening to me kind of thing. And it's because I'm the problem. It's because of me, you know? All right, baby. We are back in business. Okay. I don't know what to do about my camera, but that's a problem for future Brittany. Okay. Welcome back. Okay. So what were we talking about? We're talking about me getting bullied relentlessly as a child by all directions, from all directions. Okay. Uh, perfect. Amazing. I'm so glad that's where we are. Okay. I was bullied by a lot of people. I was bullied in school. I was bullied at home. I was bullied when I went to go hang out with my cousins. I was bullied. Okay. And that kind of made me think that there was something wrong with me. Okay. That made me think that it was my fault and it was because of me. I mean, well, at the end of the day, yeah, it was me, but yeah, apparently neurodivergency and kids' kindness don't mix. Yeah, that just made me believe that, like, yeah, I was just like, I wasn't able to fit in anywhere. And that kind of shaped how I began to view friendship and also how I just began to view everything, honestly, in school. Because when you're in school, the only thing that matters is if you're cool. And I couldn't care less. I don't know, like, sue me. I couldn't care less if I was cool or not. Of course, a part of me really wanted to be cool so that, I wasn't bullied and that people saw me for how cool I thought I was. Like I knew that I was different and I knew I thought differently than everyone else, but I never thought that it was something that, like, it was wrong to do that. However, when everyone around you is telling you that, like, there's something up with you that needs to be bullied, there's something up that needs to be bullied out. Then you start to believe that there's something in you that is, like, that needs to be bullied out, and stuff. And unfortunately, like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Like, I just thought that there was, something wrong with me. Alongside that, and the mind you, this is in my formative years. And when I'm talking about your formative years, I'm talking about like ages like 0 to like 7. That is when, unfortunately, like, a lot of these core beliefs are built. And yeah, so in that time, something else that was happening was that my mom we moved around a lot when I was growing up. My mom moved us to East Prairie, and it was like being uprooted from like a life I had in the city, even though I didn't have like a super stable life in the city either, because we moved around in the city as well. But being uprooted from that, where I had like a daycare, I had a class and stuff like that. I had people who knew me, and I had neighbors who I was friends with, and it was being uprooted from that to being placed in the middle of the bush in East Prairie, where I was meeting like my cousins kind of for the first time, but also I was like meeting my siblings for the first time. And that, like, that, I don't know why, but that made me so unsure of my place in my family, because it seemed like, the older girls kind of like had their own thing. They were talking about boys, they were talking about school, they had parties to go to, and they had something that they were doing, right? And then my brother was like helping my dad with ceremony and everything like that, so he kind of had a place too. And then obviously the babies are just cute, so they have a place. And I didn't know where that left me, because I felt like I didn't know, and I didn't know my siblings very well. Like, I was meeting them for the first time, and they were meeting me. I was meeting them, but they were meeting me as well. And that kind of, like, again, like, this whole thing about, like, I think about things differently and I'm a bit different. I didn't fit into my family either. I didn't fit in, and I couldn't figure out why. And that caused me to be unsure of what my place was in the family. And that made me unsure of what my place was in the world, because if I couldn't fit into my family, where could I fit in? I mean, like, there's a lot of reason for that. Like, I'm not like, a big portion of it too was my mom converted to Christianity when I was a child, and I was raised Christian. And I was raised with this belief and this lens that everything in my culture was bad, was immoral, was sinful, and everything. But my dad raised the rest of my siblings very traditional. And so it was like me being planted from one family, from one family unit to the other family unit. And I was thrust into this world of like very traditional, like, culture, beliefs, and everything like that. And I was having to learn them, but all of my siblings knew it already. So I was kind of like a baby deer learning how to walk for the first time. But it was like, I was told to like fear it. I was taught to like to like say no when you're smudging and stuff, which is so crazy to me. But it's something that just like, you know, like churches did back then, and churches still do today, by the way. I was in the church for a long time. I'm not anymore, but yeah. And so like not only was I like meeting my siblings for the first time and finding out that I also didn't fit in with them. I was also a brat, by the way. I also would just be like telling my siblings they were wrong. So that was also like, probably why they didn't like, you know, like super take to me. I mean, obviously they love me and they're my siblings and stuff like that, but they like bullied me as well. So amazing. Yeah. So that just that left me very like unsure of like where I fit in. And then that made me think that I didn't fit in anywhere. And so I just chose to believe that. And so even when people pursued friendship with me, like I would reject them before they could reject me. And that left me alone for like all of my school years, honestly. Like I didn't have proper friends until I was an adult. So yay. Like I had friends, like I had people who were friends, but like it wasn't like friends where they knew about me and stuff like that. It was like they knew what I was putting out into the world, if that makes sense. Like the face, the mask I was putting out into the world to be more consumable for people. That was who they liked. They didn't really like me, but maybe if I gave them a chance, they would have liked me, you know, but I just didn't give them that chance because I believed about myself that there was something like intrinsically wrong and different about me that people just didn't like and didn't want to be friends with. So yeah, that kind of ties into like not understanding social cues and not understanding the difference between being laughed with and being laughed at. Yeah, not understanding like social cues like that, not understanding like what I'm supposed to say or do in a situation, and everything. Like I used movies actually and books to kind of help me learn how to interact with people. Wow, we're getting into it. Okay. This suddenly is just me talking about my neurodivergency. Yeah, I used books and movies to escape, but I also use them to learn how I should interact with people. And so sometimes like in some situations, like I literally, this is so embarrassing, I would quote movies because that was the only way I knew how to interact with what was happening to me. Like, so this one time, this kid was making fun of me. I think he was saying something racist, honestly. And I didn't know how to react and everything. So all I could say, and I didn't want to swear because I didn't want to get in trouble in class. So I was like, "You foul, loathsome, evil little cockroach." No. Yeah. Like I'm burning up right now. That is so embarrassing. He thought I called him something else, and then that got me in trouble regardless, so it didn't even really matter. But I just didn't know what to call someone when they're being mean to me, and I didn't know how to react. But I knew how Hermione reacted in the third movie, Harry Potter movie. So that's what I said, and I've done that so many times. Thank God other kids just didn't know media the way I knew media, you know? They didn't pay attention and memorize everything that everything that happens in movie like I did, you know? They didn't rely on movies to tell them how to interact with other kids, you know? Yeah, but anyways, so growing up like that and doing that, it made me believe that I was unworthy of friendship. And I already touched on this. Like I didn't have friends in school because I thought I was unworthy of friendship because of the bullying, because of like, you know, and being unsure of where I was in my family and stuff like that. Like, I mean, and it's so funny because people are like, "Oh, it's not you, it's like them and stuff." Babe, it was me. It was me. And I've accepted that since. I had to learn how to talk to people, like truly talk to people, not just like regurgitate like movies that I had seen and books I've read, you know, and stuff. And I had to learn how to be okay when people don't accept me and I had to be okay when people do accept me, because people do accept me and people do want to be my friends and people do love me, you know, because I'm worthy of that. And again, that is just, again, that rewiring of that belief system. It is so possible. Let me just tell you, it is so possible. You know, talking about beliefs, like sometimes beliefs seem good. So these are kind of like beliefs that you already know are bad, like that I'm not worthy of friendship, that I don't have a place in the world or in my family, or that I'm the reason my parents broke up. You know, these beliefs are like bad. And we know that. We know that. That doesn't change whether or not we believe in it, but we know, like, we know knee-jerk reaction, we know it's bad, okay? But sometimes beliefs sound good, but they're equally bad. So, for example, I talked about this very briefly. I was book smart. I am book smart. I am. But that's like a nice way. Like, that's like a very humble way to say it. I was offered, actually, the school I was in grade 1 wanted to move me up to like grade 4. I think I was in grade 1. And they, like, I had like I had awards, I had all these things and stuff like that. Like, I was like smart and like really good at school. Being young and then being recognized like that, and being told by like my teachers, by the principals, by everyone around me that, you know, like I was like intelligent, that I was like a genius, and all this stuff and everything. And like the teachers would like literally call my mom in to just to talk and to praise me and stuff like that. Like, that's crazy. But being surrounded by that, it made me believe that I was God's gift to creation. And also that everyone around me was an idiot. And so when my mom was like offered, they wanted to move me up to grade 4, my mom said no. And for a long time, I kind of detested that decision, but I kind of see it now and stuff. But she was just worried about my development socially. I mean, the thing is, no matter which way or where, I was not going to socially develop very well. Yeah, anyways, but she was like, no, like, I think that would not be great and everything. So she said no. And so I was way above everyone around me in school. And so that, to me, solidified the belief that I was better and I was smarter than everyone else, and that everyone else was like around me were idiots. You know, they were not intelligent. That sounds great. Like, it sounds like, oh my God, then you must like believe in yourself so much, or you know that you're smart, right? And stuff. No, because then that made me condescending. That made me just knee-jerk reaction, I'm better than everyone else. And that's not a way you should go about life, because people are human. You're human. And when you lower people around you like that, you put yourself on a pedestal, and that's dangerous, because it's so hard to live up to our own ideals, honestly. And so that, even though that belief sounds like it would be good to like know that you're smart and to know that you're like this gifted child, it wasn't, because that was, again, like another like layer of like me not accepting friendship and me not accepting others. And so sometimes like these beliefs, like at first glance, they may seem good, but how do they make you behave towards others or towards yourself? I think that should be an indicator, because as Neechies, we're community minded, you know, like we think about community and the way we interact with community first and foremost. And so when you're looking at these beliefs and determining whether they're a good belief or a self-limiting belief or a not a great belief, like look how it causes you, or what it means for the community around you, and what it means for yourself as well in your heart. Amazing. We're so good. So these are kind of like examples of like some childhood beliefs that were formed by the environment I was in. So you've kind of seen how a lot of experiences in my childhood and things I was told and all of these things kind of created these beliefs, which then formed my mindset around myself and my identity and my life, and also the world around me and just life in general. So how do we break out of these like mindsets that aren't good for us, out of these beliefs that are limiting? It's kind of hard to put a finger exactly on like what it was that helped me kind of like realize that I had some semblance of a choice in believing these things. But I think a large portion of it, honestly, was because I read and I watched a lot of movies, and I became like a big bookworm. And I think hearing about other people's experiences And seeing what they did with the circumstances they were in helped me realize that, like everything that was happening wasn't just happening to me, but it also gave me a wider lens to look at the world that didn't just revolve around me or concern me. And I think that's why stories are so important. Why, like me sharing about my childhood and the way that, my beliefs were formed and how that affected my behaviors is like the best way I can communicate about mindset, and the best way I can communicate about how we can shift our mindset to be something that's better for us. Like sharing them and listening to stories. I mean, Nietzsche's love stories. A lot of our cultures and our nations are founded in stories, and the stories we pass down generation to generation. That's where our knowledge transference happens. Stories are so integral for humans remembering that they are human and that they're not alone in the world, and that there are other people who have went through what you went through, and that there is a way forward. And it's a good way to share hope, to share knowledge, to share just I guess experience, and something to learn from too, because we can learn from each other's experiences. Stories also showed me that I have a choice in believing or not believing what people said to me or said about me or said about others around them. And reading about these people in very hard circumstances, finding a way through, finding a way forward, helped me believe in myself, honestly. And this came into practice too when I was 14. When I was in grade 8 or 9, I think we were doing a project, and it was talk about what you want to do in 5 years or 10 years or something like that. And I was kind of going through, and I wanted to go to Oxford University for some reason. So I was looking through Oxford University, because Isaac Newton went to Oxford University, and I love Isaac Newton. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I just grew very attached to the scientist for some reason. But and then also, this is so embarrassing, Charles Xavier worked at Oxford University. So in my head, I was like, I want to go there. I didn't actually want to go there. It was just because of these things and stuff like that. It wasn't an actual one, but it was what I was putting on my presentation. And my social studies teacher literally leaned down and was like, people like you don't belong in places like that. They don't go to places like that. Yeesh. My God. So you kind of see the kind of environment I was living in and doing school in. And I remember, I don't know why, I again, it could be books, it could be movies, it could just be just the startling realization that I have a choice. I can choose to believe him and what he's saying about me because of my past, because of who I am as an Indigenous person, because of where I come from, or I could choose to not believe it. And I could choose to believe in myself instead. And thank God I chose to believe in myself instead. And I chose to ignore him and those awful words that he said to me, a 14-year-old girl. Crazy. And that began, of course, me choosing to believe in myself in that moment. Everything, it wasn't just perfect from that. It took a lot of work to continue to choose to believe in myself when things like that would come up. And you have a choice, honestly. And realizing that I have a choice and that I can change my beliefs about myself and about others, and I could choose not to believe what these people were saying or what these people even believe, that changed everything for me, because then that made me kind of cognizant of the choice I have in my life, and the choice that you have in your life. And so my mindset went from being one where I was ashamed of being Indigenous because of all the negative connotations I had seen come with being Native, in my race, in the racist farmer town I grew up in. And it went from being unsure of my place of the world, of thinking that I'm unworthy of friendship, of thinking that I was the reason my parents broke up. Again, that one is so wild to me now, but and those beliefs are so limiting. I don't know where I would be if I still held them. I definitely wouldn't be here making a podcast and living the life of my dreams and being an author and being self-employed and being successful in a way that is good for me and what success means for me. My mindset today too is vastly different. And that's because I understood that I could change those. And I'll show you how very soon. But my mindset today is more like I'm a wonderful friend, that I am worthy of love and understanding. My brain works differently, but that makes me unique. It doesn't make me less than. That the better it gets, the better it gets. And that just means that like when things are good, I believe that more good is going to come as well, you know? And that anything I want to do, I can, because I believe in myself. And when people hurt me, it's reflection of them, not of me. And that my past does not dictate my future. And these beliefs have propelled me and allowed me, honestly, to pursue my dreams relentlessly, to believe in myself and to go after what I want, because I understand that this is my life I'm living. And so other people's opinions about what the life I should be leading is doesn't matter, because I'm the one living this life. So how can you change your mindset? Well, I'm not saying that like my mindset changed overnight. Obviously, it does take some work, which I'm going to get into right now. But before we get started, just know that like that you can't control a lot of things. And I think it's really important that we let go of this need for control. I said control a lot and stuff like that, but it's not that you can control your circumstances or you can control life or you can control others around you and everything, but you can control how you react to these things, how you view these things, and the lens through which you view them. For example, if you think life is just a never-ending roll of punches, life is going to hurt and be full of punches because you're looking for it. Again, remember your mind loves pattern, and so it's going to seek out things. And so when life just happens to you, you're going to see every little thing as a punch and as a hit, because your brain loves pattern recognition and it wants to solidify the belief that you have. So first thing I want you to do, and you can get out your notebook right now if you want, pause me and come back with a notebook, a little pen. Or you could just save this for later, or just think about like you want to do this later. But I really do recommend doing it now that like everything I've said is in your head. I'm in there. I'm in your head. I'm in me as a hacker. So first I want you to figure out what your beliefs actually are. So I want you to write down some beliefs you have about yourself and the world. I want you to be like real too. Like, I don't want you to do this like the, like I want you to be real, and I want you to think about instances where you felt yourself hold yourself back a little bit because of like these beliefs that like showed up. So for example, a common one is that everything always goes wrong for me. That's like one I see a lot. And I think too, it's one that society kind of puts out there as well, because the thing is, we also internalize a lot of things we see on social media now, because social media in and of itself is like a beast of information, and we see things and our algorithm, whatever we interact with, our algorithm shows us more of it, and that is like your brain on steroids. And so if you see like, for example, relationships, you're like, like if you like men and you're like, oh, men always cheat, and you or someone on social media tells you this, and then video after video after video shows you of like instances of men cheating, then suddenly you're just going to believe wholeheartedly that men cheat. And how is that going to affect your relationship? It's not going to be healthy, is it? That you're going into a relationship, if you like men, that they're going to cheat on you eventually. Like that's not a good foundation to build a relationship off of, a healthy relationship at least. So sometimes our beliefs are not even things from our childhood, but just things we see over and over again because our algorithm shows you them, and stuff. So that's crazy. That's a whole other thing I can talk about. And there's some popularized beliefs. And one of them is that everything always goes wrong for me, or that like after every good thing, there needs to be a bad thing. First of all, who created that belief? That is so crazy to me. like who dictated that is truth? Life has its ups and downs, yes, obviously. But, like having that belief makes you scared every time you have something good happen to you, because then you're just expecting the next punch. Like that's not a way to go about your accomplishments or the things that bring you joy in life, right? So some examples of some beliefs that you might have: everything always goes wrong for me, or I'll never be able to do this because of A, B, or C. That's a common one. Or people like me or you don't deserve nice things. Maybe you have some guilt that you're carrying, or maybe you just like were told things about yourself that aren't true, but that you internalized, and now you believe that you don't deserve nice things and stuff. So like, I want you to get real, and I want you to get honest about like these beliefs and write them down. Next, I want you to dive into your past the way that I kind of did this episode, and see how some like childhood experiences and things that you were told kind of colored these thoughts for you. It could be something you were told. It could be something you saw. It could be something you experienced. But just kind of pinpoint where that belief began and why it began. You know, it's really cool actually to see like where these beliefs come from, because then that kind of opens your mind to the realization that this isn't you. These thoughts are not you, and these beliefs are not you. They're just something you kind of inherited a little bit from others or from the world around you when you were a kid. And that in and of itself is so powerful. Like, that's already work you're doing. Next, in place of those limiting beliefs you wrote down at first, I want you to now place a new belief that helps you grow. So something that like serves you and will be good like nutrients in the soil for you to bloom. Oh God, that's such a terrible analogy, but you know what I mean? Like it, I want you to, in place of those limiting beliefs that have been shaping your mindset for so long that you might not even know them. Some examples: instead of believing that every time you make a mistake that you're a horrible person, or that you are a less valuable of a person, instead maybe just think that, hey, I am allowed to make mistakes because I'm a human being experiencing life for the first time. Another example, you can say like, I believe in myself and all that, and that's all that matters. And then again, my favorite one, the better it gets, the better it gets, because then you're expecting more good to happen. Now, I want you to put these beliefs, write them down again on a sticky note, and put it somewhere you're going to read it, like every day. And if you can put this on your vanity, on your bathroom mirror, just somewhere, okay, that you'll see it and you'll read it. And if you want it in secret, just put it in your closet or something, you know? And every day I want you to look at it and I want you to say it out loud. I want you to say this new belief out loud, and I want you to imagine what it feels like to believe in that new belief. And I want you to do this for like 7 days, you know? And I want you to continue after, but let's start with 7 days, okay? Yeah, try that for 7 days and see how you feel afterwards. Or, you know, it's kind of like, remember what I said about the pink elephant, and that, you know, your mind, if you say don't think about pink elephant, suddenly you're going to think about pink elephant. Or if you think about a red car, suddenly you're going to see red cars all over the place. Well, now that you are saying and believing these new beliefs, that, you know, like everything you put your mind to is possible, that as long as you believe in yourself, you could do whatever you'd like, that the world is not against you, the world is for you, or the universe is not against you, the universe is for you, then you're going to see a lot more instances of things that are going to confirm and solidify that belief, because your brain loves to do that. Your brain loves to see pattern. And so now that you're looking for it, you're going to see it a lot more. And life is going to look and feel a lot more beautiful. And this isn't a magic spell that's going to like sweep the old beliefs under a rug or something like that. Those old beliefs have been in there for years, decades probably. And they're like old ruts in like a road and stuff. I don't know if you've ever, like, I mean, you probably know if you're like native and you grew up like on a reserve or like a settlement, but you know, those gravel roads and stuff. And like, they have like like when you're going up a driveway and it's like muddy and there's like ruts in the road and stuff like that. Those old beliefs are those ruts. They're paths that your brain is kind of used to going down. However, you can try to avoid them when you're going down that driveway and stuff, but sometimes you get pulled into these ruts. And that's not wrong. That's not bad. You didn't fail. It's just that these are old grooves that you sometimes get pulled back into because they're familiar and your brain loves comfort. All you can do is keep moving forward until you're back on steady ground. Okay? Yeah, I want you to like see how it feels to kind of reimagine what life can be like and who you are and everything with these new beliefs. And yeah, this is like the beginning, honestly. Like this entire podcast, we're going to be talking about beliefs, and we're going to be undoing a lot of these preconceived beliefs that society has taught us, that our childhood has taught us, and everything, and just rewiring them in a new way that allows us to live life in a good way. And it's a continuous act of learning as well. You don't have to be perfect at it right at the beginning. If you forget to say it a couple of days, then just start again today, you know? So yeah, try that out for size. And honestly, like I find that when I start looking at these like old beliefs and these like limiting beliefs and stuff like that, I keep wanting to find more and to like figure out where they came from, you know, and stuff. And then you kind of just like can rewire your entire brain to be one that serves you, and your mindset to be one that serves you, so that you can see life in a whole new way. So yeah, that's everything I have to talk about today. Just as a reminder, a little homework I gave you, apparently. Number 1, write down some beliefs about yourself and the world. Number 2, dive into the roots of those by looking at childhood experiences. Number 3, see and know and really like think about the fact that these beliefs are not actually yours, so you don't have to believe them. They're just things that were told to you or things that you internalize, but you don't have to believe, you don't have to subscribe to them anymore. Number 4, write down in place of those old beliefs, new beliefs that serve you and that are good for you. And number 5, write down those new beliefs on sticky notes somewhere you can see it and look at it. And I want you to say them out loud, and I want you to imagine what it feels like to actually believe in them. And then in doing that, you're going to start believing in them. And, you know, these can be like mantras that you just say to yourself over and over again. And again, like this is something that like you don't have to be perfect at. I'm going to take this weight off your shoulder right now. You don't have to be perfect at doing this, at rewiring. It takes work. You're getting out of those ruts in that road, and you can't just turn a right and get out of it immediately. You know, sometimes you just got to push through and push forward until you kind of get onto like level ground. So be easy on yourself. You're human. Okay. And honestly, if you're having a hard time believing in yourself, just know that I believe in you. Okay. If you need someone to believe in you, that's me. I'm your gal. I'm the gal for it. Okay. So thank you for tuning in. I can't wait for next week and then other episodes and more. I really yapped this episode. I'm going to have to figure out a way to not yap as much. I mean, I don't know. Let me know if you like it though. I don't know. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and let me know, honestly, like DM me, message me, comment down below if you put these into practice, or you know, like when what your thoughts are on it too, and if you've seen anything different, you know. Yeah, but thank you so much for tuning in. As we say in Cree, asamina kuapintin, which means that if everything goes well, we shall see each other again. All right, ciao.